לא יולך המלאכו לגמור ולא ידע בן חוידן להיבוטל ממנו אם למדת תוירו הרבה נשנים לך זכור הרבה.
In terms of doing any drugs, any substance that's controlled or not controlled, frankly, it's really about the relationship with the drug. If a person's using marijuana or any alcohol to escape or to cope with some underlying emotion or to deal with their reality that's overwhelming, that's the problem. The problem is the relationship with the substance. In all the years that I've been doing this, the first step is identifying the drug, but that's really surface level. It's what's underneath it, it's what's driving that behavior, it's the intrusive thinking, it's sabotaging relationships because of the drug, it's the consequences that comes along with using. All those factors are what needs to be analyzed and evaluated to see if there's a problem or not. And that's a common question or argument, if you will, that's used many times. A lot of the, younger adolescents that present with that justification. What one of the advantages or side benefits of marijuana or any drug is that it disinhibits a person. And if they're steeped with anxiety or they're overwhelmed by some powerful emotion, that's their gating issue. That's their block between functioning as a healthy, productive human being. So when they get high, they feel freer, but it's not reality. Ultimately, they need to figure out a way how to manage those dynamics that are blocking them in order for them to engage in society in a healthy way. Not to mention the side consequences of being disengaged day in and day out. Relationships ultimately will be sabotaged. A person's productivity will not be valued. A person will start to internalize a deep message that they can't be productive without getting high. That happens to not be true. We're seeing a very massive increase in numbers of cannabis-induced psychosis. Nowadays, there's a lot of synthetic materials that's being mixed into marijuana, and it's really scary. Some of the innocent pot-smoking people are coming through with real irreversible psychosis as a response to it. So it's really not safe. It's very hard to really know where somebody's getting their marijuana from. To trace it back to the original plant is very often not practical. So that's one kind of thought with that. The second thought is that it's really the relationship with marijuana. It's the relationship with the behavior. If a person's using the behavior to manage an overwhelming emotion, then it becomes a skill set that they are not learning to develop. And as life increases, as a person has more responsibility, they lose out on the opportunity to build the bandwidth to be able to experience life's challenges. If a person can't enjoy the weekend without using, then there's a problem. It's not the level of use; it's the relationship with the use. That's really what it comes down to. There's nothing wrong with alcohol in that sense. You make kiddush on alcohol. We're commanded to use alcohol. However, if the relationship with alcohol is toxic, then alcohol will be lethal for that person. And that's really the mindset that a family member and really an individual needs to have. Is what is my relationship with this behavior? Why am I going back to that behavior? What am I trying to accomplish through this behavior? Is it healthy? Is it not healthy for me? And that's really what addiction at the core comes down to. It's the disease of escape. It is a inability to modulate emotions in a healthy way. So if I can't go a weekend without using, what does my productivity look like on that Monday if I didn't use? Can I still get to the office? Can I be productive? Can I go to school? Can I do well on the test? Can I interact with my friends over the weekend when I'm not using? Very often the weekend is a trigger. If I'm challenged by Shabbos can become overwhelming, family dynamic, if a person feels uncomfortable, so that might be his drive to use on the weekends. There's usually a reason why somebody just uses on the weekend, quote unquote. There are other triggers that are causing that need to escape. Well, I would challenge the premise initially that somebody is living a full, complete life and that use chronically. Now, you might have an exception, and there might be one or two people out there that can use successfully. Again, if there's a behavior that's consistent, that comes along with consequences on whatever level it is, I would explore why that person needs to do that. And those are questions that are very independent. It's hard to judge that on a surface level. So you might think a person has it together and they're using consistently when really they don't have it together. They don't know how to modulate their emotions appropriately. They don't understand how to live a fully successful life without disengaging or getting high on the weekends or whatever their behavioral choices are. There's an interesting Ramban actually in the beginning of Parashas Kedoshim. It talks about alcohol use essentially. And the Ramban refers to a person who takes a grape, which is a natural God-given fruit, and abuses it, a novel b'rshus haTorah, right? And really, Hashem gave us so many things to enjoy, to ground ourselves, to enjoy physically as well as spiritually. Marijuana is a plant, that's true, and so is a grape. When the relationship with that grape or that plant becomes toxic, that's not what God had in mind. Let's just discuss briefly what is addiction. Addiction at the core is not a behavior. It's not about drugs, alcohol, gambling, or compulsive internet use or gaming. Addiction at the core is the disease of escape. There's an emotional relationship that's unhealthy with the behavior. And that is really what needs to be looked at and analyzed and understood. The person that's choosing to smoke or to get high, why are they doing that? Physiological dependency is very different than emotional dependency. And those are the factors that really need to be explored and looked at carefully to assess if a person is struggling with addiction or experimentation and why those behaviors are happening.
ולא יעטו בן חוי להיבוטל ממנו אם למדתו לא ידעו הרבה 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 נסניף לך סחו